listening to Lead to Greatness.
Hello. I want to welcome you to episode number 6 of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we're going to be continuing our conversation with Pastor John Chatman. If this is your first time joining the Lead to Greatness community, I want you to invite and subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. Also, I want you to be looking out for valuable content every Thursday of the month. I want to say a big thank you to those that share across your social media platforms. And also, if this content is helpful to you, go ahead and leave a review wherever you're listening and watching. Man, that'll be awesome. Right on today, we're going to be meeting again with Pastor Chatman for part 2 of our conversation interview with him. And I just want you to do this. If you haven't already seen part 1, I want you to pause right here, go back and watch number 1 again, then continue with number 2, because I want you to get everything. I want you to get everything, all the content, all the information that you can draw out of this 2-part series podcast. So do that and do that favor for me. On this podcast, we're going to begin right where we left out on last week. We're going to begin. I asked him a question on how COVID-19 has impacted his ministry. And we also got into the conversation on how COVID-19 is impacting ministry, but as well as businesses and corporations. I'm ready to get back into it. All right, here we go for part 2 of episode number 6.
Looking for land to purchase another building and, by spending millions of dollars on property and this fancy building. But it's like, man, do we really need this? And
Right.
Even not that, man, even the people commuting from home to work. I mean, that's an hour loss, depending on where they live. It's like, man, all this time, it's like, man, it's one more thing about that, with the corporate world. Now, workers are less distracted. People are getting more done because you're not getting distracted, at the water cooler talking about the football game. Work is getting done, so people are more effective now than ever. So with that being said, man, I want you to talk about, the next generation moving, transferring ministry, ministry, everybody being separated to ministries coming together. Let's talk about when.
Man, when was something that, man, God placed on my heart, primarily because it's sad, and I can't do nothing but be transparent, man, and be real. If anybody knows me, I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm just going to tell it straight up, man. There's so much competition amongst people who say they're kingdom-minded.
Yes.
I'm brother, and, man, what I got you have, when it comes down to it, that's not always the case. That, let me get mine first, and then when I get mine and I make it, and I get my name and my church, and I secure my building, and I get my numbers where I need to be, and this, that, and the third, then I'll help you. Because at that particular point, I've arrived, and now it's safe. I'm far enough ahead of you now to where I don't have to worry about you trying to come and catch up with me. So that it was this spirit of competition that God challenged me to kill. And what was happening was this COVID-19 really exposed the weakness of so many other ministries, whether they were a new startup, whether they were a traditional ministry. COVID-19 came and it hit them in every single weak spot that they had. If I'm a young church, a new church, and I didn't have a building and I was worshiping in a school, all the schools are closed down.
Yeah.
Which was our case. We were using an event center and a school. Now, when they shut down, we don't have a place. Now, coincidentally, we were building a building at the same time. And then God shut the construction down because of COVID-19. We had to stop everything mid-construction. And
Wow.
now, even if we wanted to have a worship service, we couldn't because the schools are not opening back up. The event center is not opening up. And so even if we wanted to go and pre-record in our own building, we couldn't. And so how do we navigate now? So our first service, right when COVID-19 hit, we filmed the whole service in our living room and nobody would have known it.
Wow.
And the only reason we were able to do that is because we had the cameras. Like I said, God led me to go purchase those things, the
Yes,
backdrop, the lighting, all of that. So we were able, what it did was we found that it did advantage where everybody else thought it was as a disadvantage. For us, really, it was an advantage because now I don't have to pay the school district any rent.
Yeah.
So now whatever we're getting in offering, we can keep it in the budget for the church to buy the other things that we need and do more outreach and bless more people versus taking money from our building, from us just to pay for the stage and some seats.
Yeah.
Because that we don't need necessarily the stage or seats to get the message across or for people to feel God. So, that was an advantage for us. And what God showed me then, he said, this is the wave of the future. And I never promised you. You got to understand, when Jesus started his ministry, my son didn't have a building. He didn't have a stage.
Yes.
People don't even realize before COVID-19, the guy that started this movement wasn't even a pastor. He didn't have a title and he didn't even have a collar. Kanye was doing outside worship before we started outside worship.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And a lot of people criticize him for doing his Sunday services, even though they was mainly just singing music. But his concept and his model is what I'm saying. I want us to catch is what we're having to adapt to today. Now we got people driving up and doing drive-in worship services in the parking lot because you can't come into a building. You see what I'm saying? So, God said the normal would never be normal again. And then I went deeper with that thought. He said, was it really normal? Sometimes that was never really a normal. It's just the way you was used to doing stuff.
Wow, man, that's
because
awesome.
Your normal is not somebody else's normal.
Yeah.
So God said what was normal to y'all was never normal to me because that's not what I put in place. When Jesus called Peter to church, they were standing outside on a doggone mountain. There was no lighting. There was no organ, there was no drums, there was no nothing. And he looks at Peter and says, upon this rock. Peter preaches his first sermon outside. So he said, was that really normal, what y'all call normal today? Or did we go back to the basics of what it was actually like when we first started?
Bishop T.D. Jakes said something a while back. I was listening, man. He said, man, if Jesus came back right now, we have to teach him how to do church.
Right. He would come back and say, what is this? Now, he understood what a tabernacle was, but they only used the tabernacle to present sacrifice.
Right.
To God. It wasn't that they needed a tabernacle to have worship or for the gospel to be preached. And I think what God is doing now, he's allowed the COVID-19 to come and break up all the monotony and all the, what we don't realize, we were programmed in religions without even knowing it. And though we all say we were spiritual, we were not spiritual, that we were religious because we woke up doing the same thing on Sunday mornings every single week. And we think religion is only what people believe, but religion is what you practice. It is a consistent practice that you can't break away from. It's what you do repetitively without thinking about it. That's what that is. And so God said, I'm going to come and kill all that. And now I'm going to find out, are you really called to this? Because now you got to go and pre-record your service and put it on the thing. Now you're not able to stand in your pulpit and preach. I'm going to find out what your motive behind ministry was at this particular point. Because this right is not for the faint of heart. Because now there's editing that has to come into place. He challenged the pastor to go redefine himself. Now, if you didn't have an editing team, you not only have to pre-record your sermon, preach it, but you got to stay up and edit it so you can present it on Sunday. It's a whole game. The average pastor, preacher, church doesn't know that. So God says, I want you to do it. Here's what I want you to do. Are you going to be so concerned about you, yourself, and your church that you're not going to be concerned about the overall universal church, other pastors and other buildings and all of these people who don't have the mindset or the capacity or the tools that I've allowed you to be able to get? Are you going to be selfish? Or are you going to create something that levels the playing field that promotes collaboration and not competition?
Yes, sir.
And that's what win came about. You need to create a platform where everybody is able to win. And when I say win, not win because I did something better than you, but win in a way where everybody benefits, that no one has to lack and nobody has to say, well, I got and you got and I didn't have, so I couldn't do. But create a playing field that no matter whether you have what I have or not, we all win because we're in this together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let me ask you this. So what can what can the future expect from Win?
The future can expect from Win to see a different personality of ministry. What Win is all about, Win is putting together and leveraging the resources, the minds, the struggles, the experience of many different people to accomplish one mission, which is to win the lost. The whole concept of Win came that he that winneth souls is wise. Not he that planteth a church and builds a big building is wise, but he that winneth souls. So if the primary mission is to win souls for Christ, and my brother is doing it on the north side, and my other brother is doing it in Atlanta, and my other brother is Washington, D.C., or my other brother is doing it downtown, if the primary mission is to win souls, and then that's what they're doing, and I have something that can help them do that, then that's a win-win for the kingdom, not just for me.
Yes,
and so
sir.
That's where it comes from. It's being wiser than oneself. Being wise says, if this is what's going to help the kingdom win, if this is what's going to save the lost and bring the souls in, then we need to build something that is focused on souls and not on our own individual brands and images. Those things come by product of putting in, systems and structures and procedures. But that is not the overall focus. The focus is that when God cracks the sky and he returns, or we die and take our last breath, will we be able to say that we won as many souls for Christ as we could? Because God is not going to care at the end of the day whether we had a 3,000-seat auditorium. God is not going to care how many customized suits we had and that we rode in Cadillac Escalades and had drivers. God is not going to care about the lights on our stage and the smoke and all of that kind of stuff and the security detail. What God is going to care about is, you saw somebody hungry, did you feed them? You saw somebody that was lost and their parents didn't introduce them to Christ, and you knew about me, but you didn't tell them. You saw a church that was struggling, that needed to reach their community, and they didn't have what they needed, and you had it, and you didn't offer it to them. And so that's what Win is about. Win is about creating a platform and a vehicle that allows everyone who is concerned about the soul, the winning of souls, to help win the souls around the world. That's what Win is all about.
Wow, man, that's awesome. So here it is. So May 14th, 2020, this podcast is going live. So they just heard about Win. When should they expect to see something about Win?
So right now we're getting ready to do, I think we did this week, matter of fact, we did our first Win Social this past week on Saturday. We did our first Win Social, and we're going to be doing a panel with some of the pastors that's in the group, some of the people who are already members of Win, and we're going to talk about the benefits of collaboration. And we really want people to see what kingdom collaboration looks like. And the thing about Win that makes Win so dope and so crazy is that it's not just for churches, that we have business leaders who are a part of Win. Because our ultimate vision is to impact both ministry and marketplace. I don't think a person that is involved in ministry today who has a church leading any type of ministry can be successful if you don't understand the dynamics of both marketplace and ministry, because you need both to make ministry work. You need the knowledge of both worlds. And so I believe that if you can bridge the business leader and bridge the faith leader together and to create one thing that impacts the world. Jesus was amongst sinners more than he was amongst Christians. And he impacted both secular and spiritual environments. And so when we bridge those together, we create something now that the enemy can't use as an Achilles heel anymore, because we understand business just as well as we understand ministry. We don't turn our nose up at sinners or people who don't know as much in the faith as we know, but we want to see them win and in whatever way that looks like. Together. So we're going to do something and we're going to have set up with some business leaders and some faith. We're just going to talk about the benefit of what we're going to be doing. We have a lot of different channels and avenues that we're going to use. If a person really cares about doing ministry and impacting and growing and developing their ministry in a 21st century way, since we are not going back to the normal, all of those things you're going to be able to get here. If you don't know how to manage social media, you're gonna learn that in Win. If you don't know, the importance of a calendar and how to put together a calendar, you're gonna learn that in Win. If you need to know theological prowess and learn theological concepts and study habits, you'll get that in Win. This is not just oh, let's give your money all year long, show up at convocation, shout and dance, and we go back home and get ready for the convocation of the next year. This is saying, no, we want to put something in you as a person and as a leader, because we believe that if we deposit what you need and give you the information and the knowledge that you need and empower you, then anything then at that particular point that is attached to you will automatically grow, because you're a better leader than you were yesterday. That's what win is about.
So let's say win was already in place. Let's back. If win would have started this time last year, 2019. COVID-19, we're in May now. So the end of March, mid-March, something like that. So if win was in place, because I know when COVID-19 first hit and it was announced, the churches, we have to stop service, large groups. So if win was in place in February 2020, what you think would be different then versus what happened?
If win was in place right now, the first thing that I would have did, and I think that's what you're asking me, how we would have adjusted or handled this whole movement. Right. First thing I would have did is first called and checked to make sure all of the people who are part of WIN were not exposed or sick. And then after that, knowing that it is an organization comprised of both faith leaders and business leaders, the first thing we would have did is created a Zoom call or some type of platform where we invited everybody in to brainstorm and create strategy for the future right now. Primarily, I would have started instituting trainings for social media, because I understand within our business, between our businesses and our ministries, there's multiple generations across the board. And so what I got to do now as a leader is say, okay, listen, y'all, we know we're not going to be able to meet. You can't have customers walking through your store or walking into your store. We can't have members, Christians coming into our church buildings. So what we need to do now, we're going to create a pipeline and create a foundation where we're about to educate our people how to create virtual shopping experiences and virtual worship experiences. Here's the equipment that you need. Here's the software that you need. If you don't have this camera, you need to get it. If you can't afford this camera, this is how you can use your cell phone, and start putting in these process. There's something that we're going to offer, and it's a class that I'm going to teach, and it's going to be a part of our WIN curriculum and our WIN U. Most of you guys, I just put a plug out there, Pastor, real quick. We're going to be launching what we call WIN U, which is our WIN University. And I believe that every business and every ministry, and I'm just going to speak from a ministerial perspective right now, is you should have an MOS and what I call a ministry operational system. And if your ministry operational system doesn't have certain key components infused in it, then you need to get those things acclimated and put in place right now. Because every system, if you have a system that is already going, when things like COVID-19 happen, all you got to do is make adjustments. You don't have to create nothing from scratch. Wow, and I think right now, that's all that needs to happen. There's some adjustments that might have needed to be made. But what happened was a lot of ministries didn't have systems. They knew how to do church, but they had no ministry operational system. So when this hit, there was nothing to just have to adjust to. There was a whole new building and a whole new creation and a whole new body that they had to try to create on a whim. And that's a hard thing to do overnight. And so those are the type of things that you'll get benefit, that will benefit you as a part of WIN, is because we have people in place that are sit on we call our WIN team, which is basically our advisory board, or the pioneers that sit on there and help navigate WIN. They have experience in all those different things. So, I mean, man, when I tell you it's going to be great, it's going to be great. It's going to be very empowering.
Wow, man, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about WIN, man. I definitely wish WIN was around 6 months ago. It definitely would, help even with me, man. And I was trying to figure out, I was honestly trying to get perspective from different pastors, man, trying to see what different people were doing. It was very challenging. It was very challenging figuring out how we was going to go forward, man. And a lot of things I had to figure out on my own. And it was just so much happening at once. To be honest, I mean, nobody had the answer. Nobody had the answer. Great to, to be connected to something like WIN, where we can all come together and collaborate on like, hey, brothers, hey, what do we go forward from here? So, man, I'm so excited about WIN, man. I'm so excited. I'm glad to be a part of it. Man, in the beginning stage of it, man, I'm so excited to be a part of it. And, man, I really excited on what WIN is going to do for the future of ministry, man. Even going through, just helping our brothers in Christ out, man. Getting away from this whole competitive thing. Everybody being separated, because I mean the scripture even says, man. I mean, a kingdom that's divided will not stand. And man, I think, man, we've been divided too long. But let me ask you this question: so, who is WIN for? Is it for a certain denomination? I mean, who is WIN for?
The benefit of WIN is for everybody. And when I say everybody, as long as you believe in Jesus, you believe in the gospel, you believe in the saving of the soul, the cross, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, then you can be a part of WIN. We're not a denomination. We're a group of individuals who want to see the gospel going forth in such a way that impacts both the secular and spiritual environments. And so you can still be, if you're a part of Full Gospel, you can stay a part of Full Gospel. If you're PAW, Church of God in Christ, Seventh-day Adventist, Church of God, it doesn't matter. Everybody.
Yes,
you can
sir.
come
I
to be
love
a part
it.
and we're not going to judge you. And then we might learn something from you. You might show us that you learn from the Full Gospel that we might need to just acclimate within our church a little bit, even though, we're not affiliated directly, but you'll bring a different perspective. I think that's what the benefit of having a network is that there's many different perspectives that would benefit the overall organization and everybody as a whole. And so, I mean, WIN is for everybody, man, as long as you believe in Jesus. Now, if you don't believe in Jesus and baptized in the baptizement and the death, burial, and resurrection, and you preaching something else, then I'm going to tell you, I'll be the one to come to you first and say, man, I'm sorry, it's just not a good fit.
Hey man, hey, I say, man, if you don't believe in Jesus, man, you're not gonna win anyway. So you're not gonna win. I'm part of WIN. So yes, sir, man. But I'm definitely excited, man. I enjoying the conversation, man, and the things you've shared with the audience will lead to greatness, family so far, man. Definitely so excited. Let's change the tone a little bit. So let me ask you this question. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would those people be?
Woo! That's a hard question, Pastor. Bishop Jakes would be one, of course.
Absolutely.
Bishop Jakes saved my soul when I was about to walk away from the church. And for the reason why. Before I even started pastoring, he was the first one to pray for me before I started pastoring. So Bishop would be one. Bill Gates would be another.
Okay.
And primarily because of his prowess from a technology standpoint.
Yeah.
And then the last person, I just had it in my mind, both any dead or alive. The last person would be Jesus. If I would be able to ask the question at the table, why did you really start the church?
Wow. Oh, man. That was good, man. That was good. Let me ask you this question. What great insight could you give to the Lead to Greatness family, that would help them reach their greatest potential?
I would say right now, you're no greater than your team. And before you can build your team, though, you have to build you. Know you first. Wow. So the first thing is, I would say, identify and know who you are as a leader, as an individual, and know your message. And then after that, build your team around that. And most people say, well, and I've been to plenty seminars and meetings and all of that, and you say build my team, but I don't know what my team is. And so I would say you need a spiritual covering, someone that you're accountable to, that can correct you, get on you, and you don't become offended by it. You need a personal assistant, because you can't do everything, and the more you try to do everything, you're going to miss something, and something is going to go lacking. in today's world, you need a creative arts person, someone who is creative. If creativity is not your thing, then you need someone who is creative. You need a PR specialist, someone who is able to get you indoors that you can't get yourself into. Because if people don't know you in the public, then you have no one that can support your mission or your message. And so you definitely need that PR. A content creator, and I'm just giving this because you need the team. You need some people that create content for you, whether it be social media posts, whether it be a blog, Instagram videos, all of that. All of those things are important. A photographer, get that. A videographer, a social media manager. And for some of us who don't know how to dress, you need a stylist. So they can tell you, no, that's ugly. Don't wear that. That doesn't fit you. That doesn't fit the brand. And then last but not least, you need a business mentor. Some people think that your covering is also your business mentor, and it's not. That they can cover your soul, but you need somebody who can speak to your business. Someone who can speak to what it takes to win and create diverse income. Because to last today, that 9 to 5 is no longer the barometer or the bedrock of surviving in a house, building your household and being able to retire safely. But you need to be able to know how to generate multiple streams of income. So definitely find you a business mentor.
Lead to Greatness audience is definitely well equipped and more ready for the information that you have given. So let's have a little fun. I have a fun question for you.
Let's go.
If you had $100 million to spend, how would you spend it?
Here we go. Okay.
$100 million.
$100 million. First and foremost, the first part I got off the rip, I would pay my tithe.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna pay my 10 mil real quick, put my tithes down. After that, I'm gonna use 33% for my personal life to make my personal life stronger and more complementary to the way I live. I'm gonna take 33% and I'm gonna invest it into my different businesses, primarily real estate, and then and I like building apartment complexes, maybe a few hotels that creates passive revenue, and then I'm gonna put the other 33% in reserve in a market savings account that grows at least 12% or more interest rate, and that way when I get more opportunities to invest, I'll have the capital to do so, and I don't have to wait on nobody to give it to me. So those are the things. $10 million, I'll pay my tithes. 33%, build my family life the way it needs to be. And then the other 33%, I'm going to invest into my different businesses, and the rest I'm going to put in a market-based savings account.
Awesome, man. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word, I say it all the time, as it is what it is. I say it all the time because a lot of times we struggle to accept things for what they are. And that has been one of my Achilles heels in life, that, when bad things happen or certain things happen in life, is that we struggle to accept them rather than accept them and move on. And so the faster you can get to the point where you can say it is what it is and be okay and move forward, the more progress you'll see in your life. Because if not, you'll waste time that you can't get back.
Wow. Awesome. If you can get into a time machine to have a conversation with your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
I would tell him, my 18-year-old self, man, I would tell myself a lot. But if I had to tell myself one primary thing, I would tell him that your plan may be your plan, but God's plan is going to win in the end.
Woo! I love it, man. I love it. Lead to Greatness family, we want to thank you so much for taking out your busy schedule to add value to us. If someone want to reach out to you, through social media, how should they do that?
And they can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, at I am John Fitz, or they just type in my whole name, John Fitz Chatman, and they'll be able to find me. So I am John Fitz, or just type in my name, John Fitz Chatman, and you'll be able to find me on all social media outlets. Okay,
what about the Win Network?
The Win Network, you type in at the Win Network on Instagram, Facebook, And we're currently getting a website custom designed by one of our business partners who joined the Win Network and donated that to. So when I tell you we're going to have all the bells and whistles, it's going to be phenomenal. But you can just type in at the World Impact Network and it'll come up.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Man, again, man, thank you so much for your time and for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. Thank you. You have any last things before we get off? Last thing to say, closing words.
I would say, adjust well. Don't fight the adjustment. I think a lot of people today, and stay home if you can. Right now, the world is used to moving fast because of the society that we live in. But I think the world opening back up to the public is really, really too fast, that we need to take time, and adjustments take time. If you're going to make a move, make it safe and slow rather than fast and pay with it with your life. And so make your decision for you and your family and you as an individual, and don't let the world, culture, or social media make your decision for you. Pray and ask God and let God lead you, for you and for the people attached to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation. Looking forward to next week. If you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change